All right, good morning, everyone. It is February 23rd, 2026. Welcome to the channel. If this is your first time here, what we do on this channel is an overall wellness check of the crypto market. That's how we start out the live session. We then branch out into various topics. We look at silver and gold. We'll look at oil. We'll look at the US stock market. We'll cover geopolitical news that would have an effect on the crypto market. We stream Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, I want to address my core audience just real quickly. Last Friday, for me, was a learning moment. I really probably should not have been streaming. If you're not aware, I was at the HBAR developer conference in Denver, and I started to develop a cold the night I was actually there. By the time I got to my flight, you're really not supposed to fly with a cold, but what can you do? I'm in the airport. I have no choice but to get on the plane. The congestion I had in my face in conjunction with, I already have a weak left ear. My eardrum burst, and so for about 48 hours, I was in a constant state of delirium, which is what it is, but I really should not have streamed. I wasn't in the right mindset, and so, I've had this mentality to not be a quitter, to not take days off, but in this case, now that I'm making content, it's better for me to come to you guys with good quality content than to bog you guys down with me being in a state of delirium. So that's that. With that being said, gonna dive straight into things. Good morning, Gangsta. Good morning, Steph. Good morning, Mill. And good morning, Black Gold. Did I miss anyone? Good morning, Chris. Gangsta says he's playing the Oblivion series while we wait for crypto to rip. Good time for gaming, man. I always like to game in the winter, and once, I think I got a little piece of Kleenex on my nose. Once summer starts, I like to kind of branch out and do outdoor activities. Good morning, Dean. So a lot has happened over the weekend. Some of it good, some of it terrible. We'll get into all of it. But just to start things off, we're going to jump straight into the market recap. Right off the bat, Firelight opens up again this week. I'm watching it like a hawk. As soon as I know when it's out, I'm going to try to get a video out very quickly, even if it's a 4 or 5 minute long video, just to say, hey, the Firelight vaults are open. Because right now, Firelight, the vault could go way up. But FXRP has a cap limit right now of 120 million. It's at about 102. So even if the Firelight vault goes up, there's really only about 18 million FXRP that can get minted right now, unless that vault also goes up. My camera has hidden itself. There we go. What's going on, Word Bear? So just kind of keep an eye out for that, you guys. It's going to be, when it hits, it's going to hit fast. I don't know if the Firelight vaults will fill up really fast this time, or if there will be time to get involved. But just as a precaution, I'm trying to get in there as soon as it's available. That way, on a personal level, I really don't want to miss out on Firelight, and then I don't want you guys to miss out either if it's something that you want to do. So just bear that in mind. Market had a pretty bad weekend, as I'm sure a lot of us are probably already aware. Markets have been continuing to slide. We've been getting a good, 5-6% dip on a lot of our favorite tokens. Bitcoin down to 65,000. If you're not aware, and I think most of us here probably are, every coin is tied to Bitcoin right now. So the sentiment everywhere you look, whether you're an XRP person or you're into Algo or HBAR or even Ethereum and Solana, every single community right now, it's doom and gloom. Everyone's saying, I believed in this project and it's failing. Why is it failing? Well, everything's tied to Bitcoin. All the charts look basically identical. So for better or worse, until we are able to decouple from Bitcoin, and there's some certain things that have to happen for that to work out. Unfortunately, we're following the Bitcoin halving cycle, which means that unless something changes infrastructurally, and the Clarity Act could be one of those things, we're probably looking at a bad 2026. Bitcoin could go much lower than what it is right now. And if it does, that means that all of our favorite tokens are going to proportionally dip as well. This means that we could see XRP getting down into the below dollar levels. I'm thinking somewhere between $1 and $1.20 is probably where we'll see XRP bottom out. That doesn't mean that it couldn't go lower. It certainly could. If Bitcoin goes down to levels, as some people are saying, it could go down as low as 25,000. If that does happen, proportionality, you guys, XRP would go back down to 50 cents. So, you know, this is a lot to think about. And I'm going to do a video later today because I have not heard anyone talking about this in some time, at least not since XRP started to fall off in price. It's all about the Nostro Vostro accounts. Let me know if you guys agree with the way I pronounce that, by the way. I say Nostro Vostro. Some people say Nostro Vostro. Anyways, not a huge deal. It's just pronunciation. You still have to remember what XRP's original purpose was. And if you can really wrap your head around that, you'll understand that all of those big price predictions, as annoying as they are, still on the table. Just because XRP goes down to $1 doesn't mean that those projections don't end up becoming true later on down the road. So really, what does this mean? This is an excellent stacking opportunity. As painful as it is to look at these charts, I know a lot of people are probably down over 50% by this point. You're able to get XRP at the prices. Just a year ago, we said, oh man, I should have bought more when I could. This is your second time at bat to be able to do something like that. Definitely want to take that into consideration going into, you know, this bear market. Gotta have my coffee sip. By the way, I put the link to my Discord here in the live chat. So if you're not in the Discord yet, I highly recommend joining it. The Discord is a really good community where we can share our ideas, kind of get some different points across, things that maybe you haven't thought of. And we're able to crowdsource our information together. Right now I have a rule not to share links. Now it's okay to share social media posts, YouTube videos, X videos, but I do have a no links policy right now. If you guys do catch that behavior going on, let me know. I'll give them a warning first. If they violate it twice, they're going to get kicked. Because at the end of the day, it's more important that people on my Discord have safety and security, especially people self-promoting their own referral links. That's going to be a big no for me. So if you guys see that behavior, let me know. But otherwise, the Discord's a very good place to learn more about a lot of the DeFi stuff that we're doing. And it's a place where you can get a hold of me directly. Over the weekend, I helped a young guy out with getting through Firelight. So if you're struggling with it, let me know. This week it will be opening up. So we'll be able to get a lot of you guys into Firelight if you choose to do so. Just understand that at the end of the day, it is you pushing the buttons. I do believe that Firelight is safe, but I don't represent Firelight. I'm not part of the Flare team. So just as a disclaimer, I'm just another guy here in this YouTube space, just like you. So I'm not liable for any funds that you may or may not lose. And again, I don't think you will. It's just a disclaimer. So again, XRP right now sitting at $1.36. Flare is down to 0092. Still trying to figure out the best way to say that out loud. 0092 actually might be the fastest way to do it. Pretty rough. The lowest Flare has ever been is 0083. So still a little bit of a ways to go to get there. But if we look at the all chart, Flare was not that low for very long. It only lasted maybe, I don't know, a couple of days. If I look at these charts, I almost have to narrow the dates in just to even get it to pop up. So yeah, here we go. You got 00833. It lasted, I think, even maybe just a day. And then it very quickly went back into the nines. So really, there was a technical day where it was cheaper than it is right now. But as far as trends go, it has never trended this low in the history of the token, making this the actual best possible time to buy it. since the coin's initial release. So there are some old people, or not old, but like long holders of Flare that have been from the beginning very upset that it started out at 8 cents and has gotten to where it has now. I want to put everything into perspective, and I've said it already on the stream, but just bear in mind that everything right now is following the Bitcoin halving cycle. So anything that goes down because of Bitcoin. It's not that the project is dead. The project has never been more alive. Really, and I think most of you guys here understand this, but this should excite most people because, look, since September, it was on October 1st, it was at 2.5 cents. We're now below a cent. You're able to, with the same $100, you're getting more than 2.5 times the output if you dollar cost average into this coin. I'm still a very firm believer that Flare will, in our lifetime, be a $1 trillion network. Right now, it's currently sitting at 780 million. If you run the math on that, I'm making the claim, and it is a claim I'm making. I do firmly believe it. By the way, in our lifetime is a pretty large window, and it's open-ended, so I can continue moving those goalposts. But the goalpost I'm not going to move on, as I do believe Flare gets to 1 trillion. And that would mean that it's about a 1200x opportunity. Now, does this take 20 years, 25 years? It could be a while, but I'm looking at Flare the same way that people might have looked at Amazon.com or Netflix back in the early 2000s. Do you remember back when Netflix was still a DVD company? I mean, just look at it now. I mean, you know what? Why don't we actually just look at the Netflix stock, and that'll kind of tell us a much bigger picture. Granted, it's kind of had a bad couple of years, but right now Netflix is at what, $75? In 2002, in a lot of ways, these prices look just like a crypto, and hopefully the screen's not too small for you guys to read the font. In case you can't read the font, in January of 2003, Netflix was 8 cents. It's the same price that currently HBAR is at, by the way. If you look up here in the top left corner, you can see HBAR is at 9.5 cents. Now Netflix is at 75. Can you imagine right now if HBAR was at $75 or if Flare was at $7.50? That's kind of what we're looking at. And granted, right now Netflix is kind of like on a complete crash. When it was really doing well, it got all the way up to, I believe, an all-time high of 121. Now this chart's not this chart's kind of hard to use here, but point being, when Netflix was at its peak, this thing was up how many percent? Well, right now it's up 62,000%. When it was at 120, that would have been over 100,000% growth. I'm very confident, as in like 99% or above confident, that some of our favorite tokens here, like Flare, XRP, HBAR, Quant, I think all 4 of those are equally, and maybe not equally, but they're all 1,000x or better projects. That is something I truly believe in. I believe in it 99%. I always leave a 1% for like catastrophic error. Like, we could get hit by a meteor, and if the world gets hit with a meteor and we all blow up, well, that's part of that 1%. Or maybe there's an earthquake that is so bad that it completely destroys all of the tech cities. There's things like that. Barring that, 99% confident that all of this happens. So, I'm looking at these market crashes and I'm thinking to myself, sure, the financial future that we're all hoping for is going to take a little bit longer. But at the same time, this is a chance to really spring load your wallets. By the way, crypto wallet's not your leather one that you put in your pocket. This is a chance to really pick 4 or 5 tokens that you really believe in and really kind of push on the gas pedal. Not financial advice. This is all my opinion only. But there has never been an opportunity better than right now to really accelerate your stacking in a very meaningful way. I mean, geez, guys, XRP was 350 only 6 months ago. In a strange way, at 350, XRP was already approaching a level that was too expensive to meaningfully stack. You would have needed $35,000 just to stack 10,000 XRP. Right now, you can stack 10,000 XRP for $13,600, assuming you have one of the premium accounts with either Coinbase or Kraken, and you don't have to pay those exchange fees. You probably still have to pay the spread, so let's just round that up to $14,000. $14,000 all in, you could have 10,000 XRP, or you just dollar cost average throughout the year. I do think this will go down. Personally, I do think we hit $1, you guys. And I'm not saying that to be pessimistic. I'm saying that to be optimistic. Because you can bet if it goes to $1, I will be buying more. And I will find out ways to make that possible. By the way, I do not trade on leverage, so no leverage trading coming for me. Yeah, by the way, if you guys could hit the like button, that would be great. We're at 11 right now. These likes do help the general YouTube audience find these streams. By the way, I think I was tinkering with my settings here, and I had realized I think the entire time I've been streaming, it's possible that I was on unlisted mode, which means the only people that would know I was streaming were people already subscribed to the channel. That's one of those things where you look at it and you're just like, oh my gosh, I really hope that's not the case. But I changed that setting today. We'll see if we see an influx of more and more people joining as the stream goes on. Obviously, if you're not already a subscriber, you don't know to check in at 11 a.m. So we'll have to see over the course of the next hour if we get a lot of influx of newcomers. But I guess that would explain why it's really the same people every day in the stream, because the only people aware of it are already subscribed to the channel. So that's just a learning experience on my end. Anyways, so that's kind of my wrap up with the market recap. Japanese government bonds up to or down to 2.1. So the JP10Y has continued to kind of course correct. We've mentioned this last week, but I'm looking at this and I'm wondering if we're starting to see the beginning of the reverse carry trade. It's entirely possible that the yen that is out there is being paid back first. I do believe that at some point there will become a yen liquidity crisis. Maybe not necessarily in Japan, but it could also be in Japan. But the people that have actually taken the entities, I don't want to say people because I don't think everyday people are getting yen loans, but these large entities that are getting yen loans, I don't think have the yen to actually pay back the full principal of their loan. I think that they use that yen to go do other things with it. So it's like, it's kind of like if I ordered a case of beer from you and I said, hey, I'm going to give you this case of beer back, I promise. But then you go to a party and you hand a guy a beer for a cigarette, or you hand a guy a beer for a slice of pizza. And one day your buddy's like, hey, I'm gonna need that case of beer back, and it's like, well, I actually don't have it anymore. I traded it all away for different things. Some of it which gets consumed. So I'm wondering if we're starting to see a little bit of that, where it's like, well, I got 6 beers of that case left. I could at least give them their 6 beers, and that'll buy me time to figure out what to do about the other 24. I think we might be seeing that happening here, because for the whole year, the Japanese 10-year bond was was steadily moving up. I mean, there were times when it'd go down a little bit, but the general trend since April of last year was that month over month, it was continuing to rise and continuing to rise. This is the first time since April. We go from January to February. We have a full month now. It peaked off January 19th. We're now on February 23rd. This is the first time since April that we've had a 30-day moving average that actually takes the JP10Y in a downward trend. So I'm wondering, does this mean we've started to see the reverse carry trade and it just hasn't gotten to XRP yet? Looking at silver and gold, silver's back on the rise. Millpower shared a very good video yesterday explaining that there will more than likely be a short squeeze on silver heading into March. I believe in that video it said that the first leg was on March 26th. And just to give a very broad summary of this, there's long orders. If you don't know, a short order is, I'm going to do this very high level. A short order is me thinking silver's at $87. I'm going to put in a contract to sell silver immediately. And then at the end of my contract, let's say it's 90 days, I have to buy the silver back. So if I think that silver is going to go down to $50, I would do what's called a short. A long is the opposite of that. So if I think that silver is going to go to $300, then I'm getting all this silver. I'm paying the 87 now. I don't get this silver until the end of the contract. If I think it's going to be $300, I'm cool with waiting. So what's going on here, there's a bunch of silver longs. Okay, so silver longs that are going to expire at the end of February and the beginning of March. There are more longs out there than what the COMEX has in physical silver. So they've overpromised. And if you don't understand with a long, at least with metals, that means you get delivered the physical metal. And on the stock market, none of it's physical. So you're promised the stock. They just send you the stock in your portfolio. But in this case, they have to actually deliver you physical silver. If they're not able to fulfill this requirement, we're going to see a significant problem in the silver market. But long story short, that would mean that silver's price is going to absolutely go out of control. After watching the video that Mill posted, it's in my Discord, by the way, if you guys want to watch it, I could see silver spiking into the high hundreds very rapidly. I think this would be almost like a black swan event. If you guys remember the GameStop thing, it was the same thing back then where the big banks were shorting GameStop. So as a countermeasure, people were longing GameStop and the banks had to pay out billions in that case. This is kind of another situation like that. It's going to be very interesting to see this play out. Today's the 23rd. I believe we should know either on Thursday or Friday if some of those long positions have been converted into, physical delivery. We could start to see some very sharp price increases on silver, even more aggressive than what we've already seen over the past 6 months. That's very cool. Now, I'm not going to be buying silver right now because, for one, I would never buy paper silver. I'd only buy what I could physically get. And because there's quite literally millions of ounces ahead of me in line, there's basically no chance that I'm going to be getting silver at this point. I would never buy paper silver. I'd only buy physical silver. Now, the time to have done this would have been at least 2025 or earlier. Now, I don't have any silver. I never bought it to begin with. So for me, that ship has kind of sailed. If you were going to get into silver, the right time to do it was probably when it was, at $40 or below. So I'm looking at this. I'm happy for the people that got in it. But at this point in time, I don't think it would be wise to be putting new money into silver because it's very, very unlikely that you're going to be on the fulfillment end. And so really the only thing you can buy right now is paper silver And I think that paper silver holders are going to absolutely get fleeced. I think the only people that win here are the ones that have the actual coins or bars in their physical possession. And I think a lot of people are going to get slaughtered by this. Same thing goes for gold. Last week, the last time we covered this, gold had crossed 5,000. I could see the same thing happening with gold. They kind of move pretty well together. This is just something that I'm keeping my eye on because the video Mill showed in my Discord made a lot of sense to me, and I think this could definitely play out the way they predicted in that video. So let's keep an eye out on March 23rd. I see there's a question in the chat about Firelight. Zerptorb asks, was there a mention about Firelight vaults increasing today, February 23rd, or did I imagine that? So here's what the official tweet was, and it was from Hugo himself. He said that the Firelight vaults are going to be raised the week of the 23rd. That means it could be as early as 8 a.m. Monday morning, which it's already past that. It could be as late as Friday afternoon. We really don't know the specific timing other than that it's going to happen sometime this week. Now, I've been looking at the Firelight vaults I wouldn't say like every couple of minutes, but I'm checking this thing at least multiple times a day. Even so far this, I've been checking it basically every hour. I'm going to be watching this thing like a hawk, and you guys can bet as soon as it's increased, I will make an announcement, because even if this goes beyond 50 million FXRP, what people need to understand is that, did they raise the vault limit on this? The vault limit for FXRP, I believe, is 120 million. Let's see if I can verify that on their site really fast. I got a hair in my mouse wheel. I get corgi hair in my mouse wheel sometimes, and it like screws up my mouse. So let's see where. There's somewhere on this site is an infographic that says what the vault maximum is. I'm looking for it real quick. Here it is right here. I'm going to highlight it on screen. Overall FXRP cap is 120 million. So this is important. Why is this important? Because even if the Firelight vault goes beyond 25 million, let's say it goes to 50, or let's say it goes to 75, there's only 18 million more FXRP that can be minted right now. Which means anyone who wants to get involved in it can literally do it right now. But if this thing goes gangbusters and everybody goes and runs and mints their FXRP, there might actually only be 18 million more FXRP that can get minted in the short term, which would become a different bottleneck, but a bottleneck all the same. So if you want to do this, not financial advice, but I would very strongly recommend that you mint your FXRP at your earliest convenience, or even quite possibly right now. I will post my tutorial video that I made for this exact thing in the live chat. So let me get to my channel here. I made this Firelight vaults are going to... I should have shot it after my haircut, but I wanted to get that video out. So I look a little haggardly in it, but that's how it goes. So, Jason says you can't mint any at this moment. I don't think that's true, because I minted these FXRP on the 21st. Not to be argumentative or anything, but I shot that video on the 21st, and I mint my FXRP in the video. In fact, you can see the timestamps here on the 21st at 9 in the morning. I got up bright and early to make it. I minted those FXRP. So You can, in fact, if I go here, I don't have enough XRP to do this because I only have 5 left, but you know, I can go in here and type things in. If this was full, there'd be some sort of message saying that you can't. So I would encourage anyone that wants to get involved in this to do it while you can, because if this thing fills up again, it's really kind of frustrating that it's like you want to participate, but then the vaults are full, and it's like they're going to increase one vault, but then the other one might fill up. I have a feeling the FXRP vault will also increase pretty soon, but there hasn't been an official announcement on that. So Jason says, type a number, it won't let you. Well, I don't have enough XRP on here right now to do that. So I guess I can't say that you're wrong, but guys, it doesn't hurt to try. If you got the XRP and the Flare, I don't have enough XRP on my wallet to say one way or the other. All I know is that I was able to mint it on Saturday. So now, Jason, if you don't have enough XRP on the right side of your screen, it's not gonna. That could be part of it. So I can't type anything but 0. So that could be part of it. I've only got 5 XRP. Oh, really 4.7 if you really want to get specific. I've only got 4.7 XRP on this wallet. I could probably send 10 XRP to this wallet right now just to see if I can mint one lot, but I kind of don't really want to do that. Let's see. I see some movement over here in the chat. What do we got here? We got some. Oh, we might have. Yeah, I don't mind if you guys have conversations, but I do have an interest in protecting my audience. Please don't plug some of these. I don't know if I'm not saying it's a rug coin. It could be a rug coin. It could not be, but I do have a vested interest in protecting my audience here. So please keep that stuff to a minimum, or else I'll have to. I'm not going to do anything this time, but if I have to moderate this kind of stuff, I will. I've seen too many stories. In fact, one of the viewers on this channel sent me an email over the weekend, and I won't say his name, but I will at least tell his story. So I'm looking at his email right now just to kind of get caught up on it. Basically, he got scammed through Kinetic. So he was going to Google and this kinetic.market is the correct link, but there was another one and it looks like it's been taken down, thankfully. I don't see it on here anymore. But right next to this link was another link that went to a fake Kinetic, and this gentleman unfortunately lost all of his Flare. Every single, he lost everything. And this happened to him very recently in the past month. So the scamming is very bad right now. So I can't say this enough. I have to protect my audience more than anything else. So please keep comments about trying to spread different things to a minimum. And for those of you watching, by the way, I spelled kinetic wrong, but the safest thing you can do, Flare.network is the official site. So Flare.network, this is always, you can trust this. This is the thing you can trust. This is their official screen. If you ever want to participate, just scroll through the website, see if you can find, you know, if you want to use Kinetic, I believe it's in the products side. If it's not on products, it might be in participate. And worst case, if you can't find it, just go to the search bar and type in Kinetic. And so I'm on their site. I click on the kinetic thing, and then somewhere on here, and I'm kind of doing this in real time, but you should be able to find the kinetic site through, yeah, here we go. So right here, you type in kinetic into the Flare network, kinetic boom. Now you have kinetic market. Once you get here, you could save this to your favorites bar. And then basically at that point forward, you never have to search for kinetic again. Just use your favorites bar. But I really do strongly recommend that you, at least for the first time getting to this, for the first time, do it through the Flare website, because the scams out there are just out of control. It really upsets me, actually. The amount of scamming, the fact that you could lose everything you've worked so hard to build just by going to a website that has a hyphen instead of a period in its address bar. It's a very big problem. I wish it wasn't this way, and I'm hoping that down the road this kind of stuff gets better. I think some of the stuff that will make this better is having hot wallet integration like Bifrost. Like if you could access Kinetic straight through Bifrost, and you might be able to. I'm not in Kinetic, I haven't used it. That could be a very good way to kind of mitigate some of these risks. By the way, I had some issues with my Bifrost wallet last week. They were completely user error. Bifrost wallet is a very good wallet. It's the user experience on it is very good. So I'll tell you guys what happened, actually. It's kind of like a learning moment. So when I get on planes, sometimes I'll change my time zone on my phone to be what it'll be when I get home. That way, you know, I can kind of see when my flight's gonna land and kind of get used to the idea of being at my home time zone before I actually get there. What I did by accident was that I not only changed the time zone, but I changed my date and time to be 1 day forward. So I could not connect to my Bifrost wallet because my phone thought it was 24 hours in advance, and you guys know when you sync up to things, everything has to be exact. Well, this is a very specific problem. I mean, you're not exactly going to find that on Google. What I did there was a very, very, very niche thing. It was a user error on my part. Once I fixed that, the Bifrost wallet was working again without a hitch. So that was part of the reason I took last week's stream down, because I was just kind of delirious from, you know, having really bad headaches from really bad congestion. Thankfully, I'm back to normal now. As you guys can see, I'm not sneezing and coughing my brains out here, so that's good. By the way, there's going to be a lot more content coming out this week. Now that I'm not sick, I'm going to be able to kind of like really focus on getting some stuff out. I want to make some HBAR videos. I do want to make more XRP videos, and then we'll probably make a Firelight video as soon as that thing gets opened up. So a lot of stuff will be coming out this week for you guys. Let's see. I want to pop over real quick. We'll just very quickly glance at this U.S. stock market. 6,800, nothing really there not much to talk about here today. I did want to look at Japanese oil though. Japanese oil over the past 14 days has started to climb. These numbers are not outrageous, nothing to necessarily be concerned about yet. But the reason this is relevant is because of all the stuff that's going on over there in Iran. If the U.S. does strike Iran, which, by the way, to keep things official, I don't actually want this to happen. But if the United States does engage in a war with Iran, then you can guarantee with 100% certainty that Iran will set up a blockade in the Strait of Hormuz. And it's not going to be a blockade with ships, but with missile batteries. So they will shoot down oil tankers that try to leave the Strait of Hormuz, and the result of that will be Japan and Korea and some of these other East Asian countries are going to have this extreme supply shock on oil. They'll probably have to buy the oil coming out of Venezuela, but I have to imagine one way or another, oil prices in Japan will significantly rise, which correlating back to the JP10Y, due to their bond market going out of control. Again, they did fix a little bit over the past month, but in general, these two things are creating kind of like a perfect storm, where Japan might have a liquidity crisis in the yen, but at the same time have these bonds spiraling out of control. The loans do have to get paid back. We could very quickly see XRP get mainstream adopted in Japan as an official banking currency, which would it would be enough to decouple it from Bitcoin, like finally, and then more money would start pouring in. And this could, I don't want to give price projections, but if you were to move $1 trillion today into XRP, I mean, just doing simple napkin math here, XRP's current market cap is 83 billion. So if you stick $1 trillion in here, you're basically multiplying its current price by 12. You could be looking at a $15 to $20 XRP very fast if this reverse carry trade happens. And that would be if they use $1 trillion. Now, if they use only 500 billion, then maybe it only goes up to $8 or $9. I still think most of us here with an $8 or $9 XRP would be pretty happy. Again, it wouldn't stay there. It would. It's kind of like building a snowman. Getting this thing to $9 or $10 would be like your first snowball at the bottom. It's not even its boulder-sized snowball yet, but it's enough that you can roll it in the backyard and start getting that thing bigger. So if that were to happen, even just $500 billion of the reverse carry trade would be enough to start it. If more happens, then cool, That's not even to consider the fact that there's all these Nostro, Vostro accounts out there. By the way, let me know if I'm pronouncing that the way you guys think it should be pronounced. But if you're not familiar with the Nostro, Vostro account, I'll be doing a video on it after this live stream. But to keep it very simple, Nostro, Vostro means I hold mine, or no. Hold on, let me start that over. It's a Latin term. Nostro means I hold yours, Vostro, you hold mine. So in banking terms, it's an international practice where if you and I are partners, I hold some of your money and you hold some of my money. And that's how international trades work. Now, no one really knows the exact number that's out there. You'll see very wildly conflicting results if you try even looking this up. On a conservative side, it's estimated that there's $10 trillion, not just US dollars, but like US dollar equivalent of all currencies in the world sitting in Nostro Vostro accounts. That's the conservative side. The I don't really want to say liberal side, but the optimistic side is that there's over 30 trillion. I believe in the past decade, Brad Garlinghouse said that there were 27 trillion. So that would, it only stand to reason that because of the inflation of the world has been out of control the past 5 years, that 27 trillion is probably an outdated number. It's probably more than that. Maybe it's 35, maybe it's 40 trillion. None of us actually know. So Zerp says Nostro and Vostro. Am I saying that right? Because now I'm confused. If you could just phonetically spell it out for me, that way I want to make sure I'm saying it right. But I just kind of figured Nostro and Vostro makes more sense than Nostro Vostro, as I've heard some people say. But anyways, I think you guys get the idea. Just doing some napkin math here. In the video, I'm gonna kind of be a lot slower with it and get it down to better detail. But if there's 30 trillion of these things out there, I don't know how to type out 30 trillion. See, this is why sometimes a pre-recorded video is better than doing it live. Now, I think this is 30 trillion. There's not 100 billion XRP in circulation. There's only 65 billion XRP in circulation. And if you hold XRP in a cold wallet, your tokens are not factored into this equation. The only XRP that can be used is XRP that is freely available on the open market. In other terms, what's on the exchanges. Maybe there's only 10 billion of those. So I'm going to divide 30 trillion by 10 billion. And I'm really hoping that I type this incorrectly. Now, that does look like 10 billion. I'm really hopeful that it is. It comes out to 3,000. So in a very good case scenario here, if 30 trillion in Nostro Vostro gets converted to XRP and it hits the full supply, this is the full operational supply here, you'd be looking at a $3,000 XRP. Let's just say only 10% of those Nostro Vostro accounts actually get adopted into XRP. Oh no, I hit divide instead of damn it, you guys. There we go. Let's just go back here. Yeah, there we go. Multiply that by 0.10 this time, not divide. I'm surprised I hit the divide button. There we go. 300. Let me ask you this, you guys. Would you be happy with a $300 XRP? Because I know that I would be. And this right here is what I would say is a very conservative, by the way, very conservative price target for XRP if the Nostro Vostro accounts do get converted to XRP. This is the name of the whole game. This is what XRP was actually designed to do. All the other stuff, I mean, cool, you can go to a KFC in Argentina and buy some Colonel Sanders with XRP. Cool. I mean, it sounds nice. It's fun. It's a good story. But this right here, what we have on the calculator is what XRP was originally designed to do. And if it does it, we can use other crypto networks for different things. Like, you know, Stellar is probably going to be a better peer-to-peer token. HBAR, probably better for tokenizing assets. So it's good to have different stuff. If you have XRP, this right here is the main reason you want XRP. Because if XRP goes to 300 bucks, for most of us here on this channel, it's game over. Like, roll the credits. Now you're on New Game Plus mode. You've beaten the game. Now you get to explore the world with all your items and all the stuff that you accumulated. You beat the story. Now it's just time to have fun. Well, there's more to it that I want to get to, but we won't get to that on this stream. But you could use this money to accomplish goals bigger than just a hedonistic lifestyle. But by all means, get it out of your system early, because when you come into this kind of wealth, whether you say you're going to do it or not, once you're actually looking those numbers in the face, you're probably going to want the sports car. You're probably going to want the trips to Spain, to go to the south of France. Maybe you want to go to Tokyo or Dubai. You want to do all that stuff. Get it out of your system. Once it is, you can come back and say, like, okay, now I have more money than I could ever possibly hope to imagine. What am I really going to do with this? Well, I can give you guys one easy example. Elections are always won with money. The candidate that has the highest donor almost unilaterally across all elections is almost always the one that wins. And so if you think about the big banks and these big industries, they basically win every election because they buy the politicians. What if crypto people like us were able to pool together and we could fund our own candidate somewhere, get a crypto-friendly candidate who is not allied with the banks? These are the kinds of things that I think about. And the only way this is going to work out is if we have the financial capital to fight against the large banks. And so for me, people say, oh, how much XRP do you really need? Do you really need $20 million? Yes, you do. You need more than $20 million, because the only way to battle with these evil forces, guys, Epstein's Island, hello. The only way to do battle with them is to have capital that can do battle with their capital. Otherwise, they will always control the courts. They will always control the elections. So this isn't a Republican or Democrat thing, and a lot of people on this channel aren't even in the United States anyways. But the idea is that you use your crypto to finance the changes that you want to see in your own countries and your own communities. So that's why, to me, there's no limit to how much XRP you should be buying. I tell people to start with 10K. 10K is very reasonable. You could get to 10K in a year and a half of just casually dollar costing it in. As long as it stays around this figure for a couple more months, you get your bonus payout. You work in the corporate world, you get your annual bonus usually a month or two after the calendar year turns. Go out and just bag up as much XRP as you can. Not financial advice, but you tackle this now. Then later on down the road, when you want to fight the election fight, you can find out, okay, this is a good guy. I trust him. He's the guy I want winning the elections. You call him up and say, I'm an XRP crypto bro. I am willing to invest in your election. Or maybe it's you. Maybe you self-fund your own election. I mean, politics is its own game. You have to know how to operate in that space. But I mean, imagine if Paul Barron was going to, I'm just trying to say something that everybody here knows. Imagine Paul Barron says, all right, guys, I'm going to be running for Senate. You can imagine all the crypto people are going to rally around Paul Barron. And I'm not saying he's the one. I'm just kind of trying to put this idea out there. Or maybe, maybe Michael Saylor. I'm kidding. Don't kill me. But I'm hoping that you guys get the idea. You know who I actually would like, if we're really on this topic? I wouldn't mind Charles Hockinson. Honest, that's me being genuine here. I wouldn't mind seeing Charles run for some sort of office, and I could see the crypto people like us really rallying around him. He seems like a very genuine guy. Of all the people out there that are billionaires, he seems to be one of the few that doesn't have any like ulterior motives going on. So I do like him, even if his demeanor has kind of done Cardano some damage. I still like him. And that's my stance. Let's jump to the rich list of XRP. Let's see how this thing's been moving. I haven't refreshed it in a while. In fact, this is a really good opportunity. I'm going to snip this. And then I'm going to hit refresh. I'm going to actually save this too. Let's just make sure we get this thing saved. I'm going to save this. We're going to do XRP rich list. Feb 23, 2026. All right. Now we have a record of it. So I'm going to hit refresh. Let's see how much it's changed. All right. I do see some differences. By the way, this was like only a week ago. Okay, this is kind of interesting. 2 wallets. Look at this, guys. Can you guys see the screen very well, by the way? Let me just, I'm going to switch layouts. Yeah, that's good. You guys take a look at this. No, I want this thing bigger. Hold on. Seems good enough. So a couple of days ago, or maybe like this time last week, or maybe even 2 weeks ago, 763 wallets that had a balance of let's just call it 4 million. Well, now it's up to 765. There's been 2 wallets, you guys. 2 wallets that have entered this bracket. So somebody believes in XRP enough to be putting fat money in. Guys, that's like $6 or $7 million USD. Someone out there believes in this enough to put fat money in there over the past 2 weeks. That can't be for nothing. At the top 0.1%, this would be 291,000 XRP or more. 7,621 accounts. That has risen in just 2 weeks to 7,648. You guys, that's almost 30 wallets that have jumped up. Now, mind you, though, the balance does go down a little bit. So here on the left, we see 291, just think 291K down to 290K. So that could be a small factor, but I do still see that it looks like there's more wallets being pushed to the top and then also more wallets being pushed to the bottom. Whereas this kind of, this middle area is starting to kind of dwindle down a little bit. And we also have to take into account that more wallets are being created every day. So think of that as well. But to be a top 1% holder, when I click this thing away again, to be a top 1% holder, you used to need to have 46,500 XRP, which, by the way, is still significantly smaller than what it was a couple of years ago. It's down about 130. So just in a couple of weeks, this has gone down. You guys, I think this thing is going to really get down, like really get down over time. To be a top 1% XRP holder, I could see it eventually getting down to like the low 30s or maybe even into the 20s in terms of thousands. And I know some people are like, oh, well, why does it matter? It's not a contest. But life is a contest, you guys. 2 hockey teams played for the Olympics yesterday, and only one team walked away with the gold. Life is a competition. And I'm not saying that you want to be staring at these rich lists all day to try to be better than other people, but you have to understand, if there's only 100 billion XRP, that means that we could not possibly all have tens of thousands of XRP. It is a mathematical impossibility. And so if we do believe, which I do believe, which is the whole reason I'm even making these videos in the first place, if I do believe that XRP will replace the Nostro Vostro accounts, which I do believe it will, if there's a chance here to have a $300 XRP, I want to have it while I want to be getting XRP while it's still $1.36, because by the time it's 300 bucks, for one, it's going to be too hard to stack at that point, and for two, you might not even be able to get it. It might go out of sale. You ever try to get an Xbox 360 back in the day when it first came out, and you go to Best Buy and they're like, oh, sorry, we're all sold out. Then you go to Walmart and it's like, oh, sorry, we're all sold out. The only way to get an Xbox was to go to eBay and pay, in some cases, double or triple the price to get the Xbox 360 on a secondary market. Do you guys see where I'm going with that? That could actually be you doing the selling. You could get to a point where it's you say, look, Coinbase and Kraken aren't selling XRP anymore, but I'll sell a couple XRP to you, but you're gonna have to pay my price. If XRP is going for 300, maybe I'll sell it to you for 450. Just something to think about. And the ones that might be doing the buying might be the banks. Got to really factor that one in as well. You might get a call from JP Morgan Chase saying, hey, we know you've got this wallet with 10K XRP and we're prepared to pay you this amount for it. Of course, you're going to say, I ain't selling unless you triple or quadruple it. That's how I'm going to rip. If the banks have been ripping me off my whole life, you bet I'm going to be ripping them off. You can take that to the bank. I want to look at the Flare rich list too, because this one's kind of cool. There's not as many Flare holders, you guys. I think there's probably less than 10,000 people that are holding any like substantial amount of Flare, which I think is really cool. That really tells me that this is like some serious you're early. If you're buying Flare right now, you are so early. Let's see, Feb 23, 2026. All right, we got that screenshot. Let's lock that in. This chart's a little bigger, so I'm gonna have to put this on the other monitor for now. Whoa. Oh, that changed a lot more than I thought it was. Holy smokes, you guys. Let's break this one down. Blue whale, total balance, 120 billion. Which kind of seems a little bit too high, but I digress. Is that billion? Is that billion? Yeah, 120 billion. I didn't know there were that many. Well, my new screenshot, or wait, hold on. This is the new one. Okay, this is the refreshed one. This was the old one. So my old one said the blue whales had 66 million FLR. Now there's 120 billion. Well, actually, that's kind of, almost doesn't sound right. Do you guys think that sounds right? I almost don't know if that sounds right. That would mean that there's 120, 130, 137, 140. Now, if I'm reading that right, that would mean there's somewhere around 150 billion flare out there. This thing might not be right. That doesn't sound right to me. What do you guys think? Something about that doesn't add up. I know Flare can have more than 100 billion, but it's not supposed to be that much higher. Yeah, total supply, at least according to CoinMarketCap, is 105 billion. Hold on. Mill is saying this is... I don't know, because I see a comma here. Let me just really zoom this thing in. So this would be digits. This would be the hundreds of thousands. This would be the hundreds of millions. Is this a decimal point? I mean, hey, look, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I don't see a decimal point. I can zoom this thing in even more for you guys. Are we all looking at the same thing now? I'll move my head over. I'll just put it right here for now. I mean, you guys tell me. I feel like I'm looking at... that looks to me like 120 billion, but... I don't know, you guys tell me. I think there might be something strange about this. Let's see what the fine print at the bottom says. It says, this was last updated this morning. Combined total of FLR, Rat Flare, Staked FLR, and SFLR. Okay. This might be because of SFLR. That could be what's going on here. And maybe this site's not gonna work for now until I have a better understanding of what we're looking at here. That seems kind of well. Okay. Huh. All right, we're smart people. We can figure this out. Let's look right over here. To be an Orca, you have to have 50 million to 100 million, right? So that's the bracket. There's 55 holders inside of this range. So what would 55 million times 50 million times 55? That would be 275 billion. Now this thing said it could be 50 million to 100 million, so that was just the minimum range. I think that I think that says billion. So I think maybe there's something wrong with this top number. Maybe there's a glitch going on here because it doesn't seem to make sense that There's wallets out there with crazy high amounts. Something doesn't seem to make sense here. Now, we're all figuring this thing out together, you guys. So yeah, I'm not the wise oracle living at the top of the mountain. I'm just looking at the tools that are available to us. But I can't look at this thing and blindly say that it makes sense to me when it doesn't. Now this one would make sense. It would make sense to me that there's 4.5 billion Flare held by 55 wallets. That makes sense to me. It does not make sense to me that there's 83 wallets that have more than the max supply. So maybe this tool's off somehow. We'll just move on from this thing for now. I mean, geez, even right up here it says circulating supply is 84 billion Flare. I wonder if it's factoring Songbird in there. Well, you know what, guys? I think we're looking at something that... I mean, to Mill's point here, Mill says it's a representation that isn't clear or it is correct and we can run away from... I want to be careful before we go to there. Maybe this is something that we could ask. Maybe I'll take this to Twitter and I'll just message Quantic or one of the lead guys on there and say, hey, I was looking through Flare builders and I see this thing that doesn't make sense to me. Have you seen this? And oops, I didn't mean to move that way. Before jumping to any conclusions, because at the end of the day, Flare builders is not maintained by Flare. This is a user... someone who's a Flare enthusiast built this. So I don't think this is a Flare. I don't think Flare did this themselves. Let's just take a look. The ultimate list of projects building on the Flare networks, built by AU. Okay, so AU built this. So maybe I'll reach out to AU and say, hey, I've been looking at this thing and I'm not making much sense of it. Can you kind of explain it? Let's do that before. The last thing I want to do is say something that's not true. So I'll follow up with these guys on this, but yeah, this definitely looks weird, right? More than 120 billion when the total cap is really supposed to only be 84. I'll put a pin in this. We'll come back to it at another time. I did want to at least go through my Flare data set. So this is already up to date. I updated it before the stream. We're a day away, or potentially 2 days away from the next stake payout. So I'm expecting a much bigger stake reward this time than what we got 2 weeks ago. Last time we looked at this, you can see that... I wish my head wasn't covering the red columns here, but at least here in the blue boxes, 2 weeks ago, I got a 51 Flare reward, very small. In fact, it's smaller than my delegation rewards have been. I have a feeling that whatever this next one will be, I think it could be somewhere between 300 and 400. Let's see if I'm right about that. I think it's either going to pay out tomorrow or on the 25th. I highlighted the box that I think it's going to pay out on, which would be on the 25th. We'll see if I'm right about that. I'm expecting between 300 and 400. The reason for that is you're going to get a stake payout at the same cadence that you would get 4 delegation rewards. And I've gotten those 4 delegation rewards. They're all around 55 in that ballpark. So if staking was equal to the wrapping, that would already put you at around 220 wrap Flare every 2 weeks. But because the staking rewards are about double what delegation is, I'm expecting around 450, maybe 500 at the highest for my stake reward. We'll see if that's true. And we're getting very close to the end of the month. You'll see we started this whole thing with exactly 150,000 flare. I'm already at 150,620 flare. So for not even a full month of rewards here, you guys, that's pretty sweet. I've gotten 620 flare in just a couple of weeks with, by the way, not that it's a measuring contest, but 150,000 flare is really not that much money. I mean, looking over here in column K, you know, this experiment cost me about $1,500 to do, which is fine because when the experiment's over, I'm going to roll it into my main wallet. But 150,000 flare really isn't that much. If you had, let's just say, for example, 1,000,000 flare, that'd be a force multiplier of by about 6 compared to what I'm currently doing. So if making 1,000 flare in 1 month is cool, imagine how cool making 6,000 flare will be, especially when flare gets to $1 or higher. One thing I do want to, I don't really see anyone else talking about this, so I'll just show it right now. In fact, let me change my scene selection. That will really help this. I want you guys to look to the top left corner where XRP is $1.36 and flare is at 9/10 of a penny. Right now, the conversion rate is relatively 1 XRP for every 150 flare. Changes from day to day. It's not an exact science, but it's usually in that range between 140 to 160 flare is going to equal you 1 XRP. If XRP does go to $300, that would make flare a $2 token. Just saying. Flare has essentially anchored themselves to XRP. So whatever's good for XRP is good for flare. Now ask yourself this: if you had 1,000,000 flare generating for you around 6,000-ish flare tokens per month, and flare was $2, this is all conjecture, guys, I'm not price predicting, do you think that you could live on 12,000 a month in yielding assets? I think that I certainly could. Of course, you got to pay the taxes on that, but I mean, what better argument for getting to 1,000,000 flare is that? And if you didn't need the money right away, you just keep working your day job, reinvest it. You could go from 1,000,000 flare to 2,000,000 flare just from the reinvesting and the compounding. You get there in like maybe 6 or 7 years. Then you'd have 2,000,000 flare. Who knows what the price would be at that point? Maybe like $5, $6. This thing has a way of spiraling out of control, you guys. Really all you have to do is just be patient, stack up what you can, and really get involved in this system. Make sure that it works. Make sure that you're doing it properly. But Dean, hey man, come to Detroit, man. You can turn 12 grand into I don't even want to tell you what you could do in Detroit with 12 grand. You'd be walking around with every medical disease that you can get from going to the strippy. Anyway, so don't go down there, and this is a family-friendly channel, you guys. But I hope you guys do get the idea here. This thing is going to be compounding over time and doing really cool stuff. By the way, I see there's about 50 of you guys in the chat. That's pretty good. Could I get you guys to like the stream? We're at 28 likes. If you guys could just help me get that up to, let's say 35, I think would be pretty good. And if you found this stream through your recommendations, or if you're passing by and you haven't seen this before, we do this every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. I highly recommend that you join the Discord. Let me pin that at the top here. For some reason, it won't let me pin my own comment. That's strange. I'll just do it again, and we'll see if it allows me to pin it this time. But on the Discord, you'll get access to me. You'll get access to some of the other guys here on this channel that are very, very knowledgeable. And we're out here helping answer questions, helping people get involved in this stuff, because you know what? It really is scary. If you're looking at this for the first time, you don't really know what's going on. It's not like there's a whole lot of resources out there yet. Well, we're trying to be at least one. So if you like what you're seeing, subscribe to the channel. Also join the Discord, and we'll help get you straightened out. I'm running this experiment all the way until August 1st. Technically August 3rd, because August 1st is a Saturday. So for some reason, the Flare network does only work, at least the staking, Monday through Friday. Not really sure why, but that is what it is. So this thing is, I'm running this until August 3rd. I'm going to be doing more experiments like this. I'm going to very shortly here be starting hash pack with HBAR. So what I'm doing here with my Flare tokens, I'm also going to be doing with my HBAR tokens. Which, just think about all the compounding effects that we've got going on here. I'm investing my Flare, I'm staking, I'm getting rewards on it. Over here on the right with my FXRP, you can see that I know it's not a lot, but I'm working my way towards generating one FXRP. So I'm at some point going to have an XRP token created from this. Okay, one token's not really much right now. But again, Firelight's getting expanded this week. We're going to find out over time, what do those rewards look like? If Firelight ends up being 4 to 6%, I'm happy with that. I don't need 10%. In fact, I don't want 10%. 10%'s too risky. If someone's offering you 10% for your asset, you got to wonder, like, well, what's in it for them? Like, what are they getting on their end that's so appealing that they're willing to part way with 10% of the yield? If someone's offering you a 4 to 6%, that's like, okay, not as high, but it's probably a lot more reliable, probably a lot more safe. Be careful, guys. There's stuff out there offering like 15, 20%. Sometimes they're offering like 1% a day. Stay away from that stuff. If it sounds too good to be true, it almost always is. Kristen asks, Andrew, do you have any thoughts on Uphold? I think you meant Uphold, not upholding. Andrew, have you any thoughts on Uphold allowing FXRP minting in a couple weeks? So I don't personally use Uphold, but I think it's great. You know, as I mentioned earlier in the stream, someone on this own channel lost over 1 million Flare through a fake Kinetic site. Keyword here being fake, so Kinetic itself is safe, but there was a site impersonating Kinetic. They'll make the site look completely identical, by the way. It's a lot easier to get scammed by this stuff than you guys might think. If you're able to stake and do all that stuff through Uphold's app, that really does add a lot of security, because the app's not going to allow you to put your asset on the wrong thing. It's just going to be a one-click procedure, maybe 2 clicks, but they're gonna take away some of your freedom to fail, which I think for a lot of people is probably a good thing. So as far as what am I trying to say here? As far as having FXRP mintable on Uphold, I do think that's a good thing. Again, I don't use Uphold. There's so many exchanges, and they're all basically the same. When you get down to it, they're all basically the same. Just pick one and use it. But I've been using Coinbase because it's what I got started on. And yeah, maybe there's another exchange that has like 0.5% smaller spread or 0.5% smaller exchange fee. But at the end of the day, they're all basically the same thing. What's going on, user? I want to jump to the Twitter space because there's been a lot of stuff. We haven't even touched on Clarity yet, so let me kind of get into that real quick. If you don't know, there was an emergency meeting in the White House this weekend. I got this straight from Paul Barron. Paul Barron is saying that the White House had a no phones allowed meeting with the folks from Coinbase, including other banks, all about the crypto clarity bill. Now, I want you guys to kind of think about that critically. What would that mean to have a meeting with no phones? It would mean that whatever the discussion is going on in that room is serious enough that, one, they don't want anyone distracted, and two, they don't want anybody leaking what's in the room out to anybody else. So we don't know what was really going on in that room. All we know is that something was going on in that room. We know that Trump wants to get the Clarity Act through before March 1st. Well, he's running out of time here. That gives him only this calendar week. If we're going to get any news on clarity, it's going to happen this week. It has to. Otherwise, it's basically clarity or no clarity at this point. That's really kind of what we're working with here. If we don't get it by March 1st, and when I say get it, I don't mean that like it gets signed into law on March 1st, but we should see the formation of a move forward, move along. We should see some of that start by March 1st, and if we don't, there might not be a Clarity Act. So this is going to be a week where we really want to make sure that we keep an eye on what's going on here. Hold on, I gotta blow my nose. Not blow my nose. I have to clear my eardrum, so I'm not sick anymore, but I still have some residual air pressure in my ears that like I can hear myself twice, if that makes sense. So if I blow air through my nose, it relieves it. Much better. What do they call that? Popping your ears? I don't know. In any case, whatever you do, guys, do not fly with a lot of congestion. The past 4 days, not just your normal cold. Man, I was delirious. I really shouldn't have even been on here on Thursday and Friday, but I'm good now. I'm serviceable. So we'll keep an eye on what's going on with clarity. I don't want to necessarily talk about this is a funny too. We'll get to this in a second. I don't necessarily want to talk about the cartel stuff too much beyond the fact that if you don't know, if you're not aware, there was a hit in the cartel. One of the lead cartel bosses got taken out, and the cartel has absolutely gone nuts. I believe the city is called Guadalajara something. I'm apologizing. It's a long name. It's like Guadalajara or something like that. These guys are going absolutely crazy over there. Not going to show too much of this on stream because I think some of it might be it might be a little bit too much for this type of audience. But oh, my screen's frozen. Can you guys still hear me? My entire system is locked up. Hold on. I'm gonna hit the chat. Testing. If you guys can hear me, let me know in the chat. I'm still here on my cell phone. Okay, so you guys can hear me. On my side, my computer is fully locked up. I can't even close my tabs. This is very strange. This has not happened before. Oh, let's just... Oh man, if I close these tabs, it might close my my stream out. Okay, that's weird. Now I'm back in business. Maybe this was a sign not to show the cartel stuff. I just think this is important to at least be aware of what's going on in geopolitics, because look, things are heating up this year. It's not every day that a full-scale attack from a cartel happens inside a tourist city, by the way, that does have Americans in it. So this thing has the potential of very much spilling over. Um, and I'm seeing Dean's comment. I'll address that in a second. These type of events have a way of spilling over into the crypto market, so I do think it's important for us to, keep an eye on it. But at the end of the day, I want to also share these stories so that you guys know I want you to know what's going on in the world so you know what things to avoid. I mean, it does no good to have millions in a cold wallet if you get capped on the highway because you were in a hot area where some kind of crazy stuff was going on. Like, personally, I don't vacation in Mexico for this very reason. I'm not going somewhere where I can get capped on a random day because something's going on in the cartel. And it's the same reason why, I've had job offers to some of the more, I hate to pull this up, but I've had job offers to some of the more liberal cities in America, and I've turned them down because I don't want to be in the middle of a riot over whatever social problem is going on that given summer of the year. It's like, you could not. I would turn down a 200K offering job in Minneapolis right now. You could not get me to move there, and that's just my philosophy. Like, my goal is to be here for the long run, right? I do not want to be caught up in a situation where I've got people around me that are acting crazy. And so that's why I cover these topics, even if it's not 100% crypto related, because all this stuff matters, right? Like, what's the point of having a cold wallet full of stuff if you're not around to use it? Or you are around to use it, but you're in prison because you defended yourself, and maybe you defended yourself a little bit too much. One of them rather get judged by 12 than carried by 6 kind of things, So I don't know. That's why I cover some of this stuff. Dean had a good point. I want to ask you guys questions. There's like a 10 to 15 second delay, so I'll kind of keep that in mind. I hate awkward silences, so if I ask you guys questions, it's like, I don't want to just sit here and wait for a response. So to some extent, I gotta keep things rolling. I do have a small amount of sniffles. It's manageable, but one thing I did think, this is kind of funny, but also at the same time, this is a little bit funny, but at the same time not funny. So if you're not aware, the USS Gerald R. Ford is parked out there in the Strait of Hormuz, or at least somewhere near it, and they're having a real poopy problem over there, quite literally. It sounds like the mechanics behind some of their sewage inside the aircraft carrier is no longer working, so it's getting pretty poopy. But it's funny, but at the same time, it's not funny because this is supposed to be the aircraft carrier sitting outside of Iran. You don't want to send troops into battle that are already disaffected or feeling like they want to like abandon the ship that they're on. So the weird stuff is going on. I personally don't think that we should be getting involved over there. So maybe this is a good sign of they'll force the ship to come home. Probably not, but I don't think I want war in Iran to be the thing that kicks off XRP. Durrell says to talk more about Denver. I definitely wanted to talk about Denver some more. I wanted to talk about it last week, but I just wasn't in a good headspace from having the cold. So what they're doing over at HBAR or Hedera, they've got this thing called Hero, and we got to see some. If you watch the stream, we got to see some demos on it. Now, for some of us, it might have been a little bit too technical. I think at least for me, it was. They were really getting into the coding of it. But Hero is their EVM. It's an ethereal virtual machine. Flare also uses an Ethereum virtual machine. So it's just think of it as another software platform for developers to make their own applications. They can even make their own video games on it. It can synchronize with Unreal Engine 5. So the cool thing with this is that what Hero can do that currently isn't really a thing but will be soon is like near instant transactions. Like right now we know that transactions take like 3 to 5 seconds to clear. They were doing demonstrations where it clears in literally like a blink of an eye. They call it Operation Light Speed because it will happen so fast that you can't even like visually process it, right? So we're talking about fractions of a second to post and settle transactions, which is really, really remarkable considering the fact that this is going to be a global technology. Very, very, very bullish on HBAR and Hedera in general. I'd like to start making more Hedera-focused videos, especially after the conference. I've just been waiting until like I really couldn't make much content over the weekend because my sinuses were so bad, which is frustrating because I feel like there's so much to talk about right now. But I'm definitely going to be talking more about this. It was very eye-opening to see. You know, it's one thing to like hear about this stuff on hype posts on Twitter and things like that. It's another thing altogether to actually meet and see the developers that are actually making these things. Got to see, I didn't meet Dr. Lehman Baird, but I was there for his fireside chat. He was in and out. I have to imagine at that level they're pretty busy guys. So we saw him walk in. He gave his 20 minutes and then he was out of there. But the rest of the team, I got to meet like people actually from Hedera and talk to them for a while at the social hour. It's just really unfortunate, man. I got sick. I could tell I was getting sick while I was at the conference. You know how like you get that burning sensation right here? I could feel it coming on. And it just kind of lowered my energy a bit and made it a little bit tough for me to like get in the zone. I mean that's just life, man. This happens to me every spring. But a lot of cool stuff coming out of HBAR. They've also got a very good platform for tokenization. I think tokenization is going to be something that feeds trillions of dollars into the crypto space. And I think that HBAR is probably going to be at the forefront of that. There's some other good ones out there like Ondo as well. But I just feel like HBAR is so far ahead of some of these other networks that even if Ondo is a great option, I almost am like, HBAR just might just be a better option. The Hashgraph technology, by the way, is really cool. Let me see if I can remember I think it's called a kernel tree. Or a Merrick tree or something like that. I had it written in a notepad. It was some kind of tree. Maybe if I type in Hedera, Merkle tree. There we go. There we go. So if you don't know what a hash graph is, to put this in like the most simple terms possible, I'll just pull up an image real quick. So this is what makes HBAR different from everything else. Is they use this Merkle system as opposed to like the normal what do you call it, like blockchain. So you can see like there's hash 1, but then like on the left you got hash 0, hash 1, on the right you have hash 2, hash 3, and then you can have over here transaction 1, transaction 2, transaction. So the whole reason it's kind of a hash is like, think of the actual hash on your keyboard or on your cell phone, how it's like, it's almost like a tic-tac-toe box, right? That's kind of in a very simplified format. How hash graph technology works is it's these parallel lines moving together. to very rapidly speed up the ability to transact and collect data. So I don't know if that was the best way to explain it, but if you want a visualization of what Hedera is, it's a Merkle root tree. And I would really recommend looking into this stuff and reading up on it, because the people that write this technology are going to do a way better job of explaining it than me. At least for now, I'll try to get better at understanding this particular concept so I can relay it better. But at a very high level, this is what Hedera's whole ecosystem looks like. For Darrell, as far as visiting sites go, I did go down 16th Street in Denver after the conference just to kind of check things out. But then the following morning, a lot of places were closed. I guess it kind of makes sense. If it's like a Thursday morning in Denver, there's probably not a whole lot going on downtown except for people going to like their real jobs. So most places were closed or nothing was going on. So I just went to the train station and I spent a majority of the day actually inside the airport terminal. So I really didn't explore Colorado very much while I was there. And I hate to say it, but I was really sick, man. Like, I knew when I woke up the day after the conference, I'm in the hotel room, and I just had this really thick brain fog that I don't normally have. And I even knew, even before I get into the airport terminal, I'm like, I'm sick. I got a cold. And I think I know how I got it. When I was getting on the plane from Detroit the first time, there was a gentleman a few seats away from me who was coughing the whole flight. And I was just like, man, I just know I'm going to get sick. And then I did. I mean, that's just life. You know, it's not his fault. You know, he's just another guy flying. And then there I was, sick myself on the return flight home. So I probably got people sick too. I mean, it's just like... That's how flying in the springtime goes. But so it kind of put a damper on things. Now that the actual event itself was really cool, and the symptoms didn't really hit until maybe like 5 p.m. So I got through most of the conference without any problems. It was really around the social hour that I started to notice that something didn't feel right. You know, I was like up here in my congestion a lot. It's really weird how sometimes you can like feel yourself getting sick in real time. So that was the HBAR thing. Did I go through all of the topics I had? I think so. Watch out. Watch out for those poopy aircraft carriers. I thought this was funny, but it's also not funny at the same time. Oh, this is something I saved. I wanted to watch. I don't know if you guys know who Clavicular is. It's really interesting. What this guy's... We're going to play this 1-minute clip. I'm going to pause it for now. I'm going to play this 1-minute clip, but I think it's really interesting. He says these things about Bitcoin that are not exactly wrong, but he doesn't know how any of it works. And so it's always interesting to me to see how little people actually know about some of the stuff they talk about. I don't know if you guys know who Clavicular is. He's very, very popular out of nowhere, especially with the Gen Alpha and Gen Z kids. I'm on the millennial side of things. I'm like 33, so I'm a little bit too old for this guy. But he's become so popular that Andrew Tate wants to hang out with him. I think this is kind of weird. But it's like a 40-year-old man trying to hang out with a 19-year-old, but whatever. Let's just listen to what he had to say about Bitcoin. I'll kind of explain where he doesn't get things right. It's only a minute clip.
Yeah, I bet half the people are on suicide watch. Remember, go back literally a month ago when me and Sneeko were collabing, sitting at the restaurant talking about Bitcoin, and I'm like, Bitcoin is dog shit. Bitcoin, don't trust this fucking garbage. It's a horrible investment. And everyone in the chat's like, bro knows nothing. Bro's a retard. Like, don't listen to this kid. He's got no idea. Like, vindicated. Jesus. Like, you guys are a bunch of fucking clown retards for buying into this shit. Okay? Genuinely, how do you believe this? How do people buy saying I'm gonna buy Bitcoin, a completely uncentralized, deregulated, basically nothing. It's not a thing. It's not a product. It's not anything. It's a bunch of fucking numbers on a blockchain, and you guys are investing in this piece of shit. Okay, calling me the dumbass when I tell you, oh no, Bitcoin's going up. It's increased by 10,000x since 2012. It's like, yeah, from 2012. It's like you're not getting any more returns on your investment. It caps out at like 100K.
So, kind of swore a little bit more than I would like for my channel. I kind of forgot how much swearing he did in that video. He's sort of right, but has no idea why he's right, which in the end makes him actually wrong. So if you understand Bitcoin and where Bitcoin started, the original vision of Bitcoin was correct. Now, Bitcoin was eventually hijacked and turned into the Frankenstein monster that it is today. Bitcoin was not designed to be a store of value. Bitcoin was designed to be used as digital cash. That was the original idea behind it. So he's talking about all this, I mean, he was swearing a lot too, but he's like, oh, it's just imaginary fake internet money. Anytime somebody says that, to me, it's a very clear indicator they have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. And then they'll use the price as a way to like drag something down. Look, Bitcoin's price is down because of the halving cycle. Anyone who's really into this knows that the end of a halving cycle is always going to be a dip. It's been that way since Bitcoin launched. And I'm not even saying this as someone that buys Bitcoin. I'm actually saying this as someone who no longer buys Bitcoin. But the reason I don't buy it is because I understand it. But I don't hate Bitcoin. I don't hate that Bitcoin was created. I mean, come on, Bitcoin was the original cryptocurrency. It's just that I acknowledge there's better things out there. Now, again, it's some 19-year-old kid. I don't expect a 19-year-old kid to know what he's talking about. But he does get views. I mean, this was viewed
I bet
almost
half
600,000
the people are on Suicide
times,
Watch.
and
Remember,
this wasn't even
go
on
back
his main
literally
channel. So
a month ago.
you got to acknowledge that the public sentiment is being formulated by guys like this, even if he doesn't really realize what he's doing here. Everyday average people are going to hear claviculars say that Bitcoin is trash, and because the average everyday person doesn't really look into stuff, they're going to take that at face value. Now, Bitcoin being trash, yeah, it kind of is, but you have to understand why it's trash, right? And the reason Bitcoin is, and I wouldn't even really want to call it trash, but the reason that I don't believe in Bitcoin anymore is because the original people that worked on the project are gone, and it's been hijacked by a governance board that does not want the block size to increase. If you've heard people talk about how Bitcoin takes, like, I almost said some swear words myself. If you wonder why Bitcoin takes effing forever to transact and also has these ridiculous fees, it's because it was designed that way. Not originally, but by the new governance board. And the reason they designed it this way is so they could push out all the little guys. So you can't transact a Bitcoin if the fee is $50. But someone who's got multiple millions of dollars isn't going to care about a $50 transaction fee. And so they wanted to have this asset that they could really jack the price up on, which, by the way, if you're a Bitcoin maxi, it's actually worked because Bitcoin was at one point $126,000, but you can no longer feasibly use it as cash. Now, the whole bit size problem is that every transaction that goes into a Bitcoin block, well, you can only have a roughly 3,000 because it can only handle a megabyte. But it's not because it has to only handle a megabyte. It's because the governance board in charge of Bitcoin will not allow it to increase beyond a megabyte, which means the idea behind Bitcoin is that you're supposed to buy it and hold it and not spend it on anything because the transaction speeds are too slow. So people will buy and hold the Bitcoin, and aside from that, it just sits in a frickin' wallet and does the opposite of what it was originally intended to do by Satoshi, which was to be used as digital cash. There was a time you could buy video games on Steam with Bitcoin. Anything that had Bitcoin as a payment system has officially kicked it off. By this point, it's non-existent. You can't even find places anymore that'll take Bitcoin. But there was a time when it was. It got hijacked by shadowy figures that we don't even know exactly who they are, but some of them might be in the files that have been coming out lately. And why would they hijack it? So that they could turn it into their own Frankenstein monster, not only to really inflate their wealth, but also to use it for money laundering. Now, they inflate the wealth on this thing because they've turned Bitcoin into something that is very exclusive. So you can't transact it freely because the fees are too high. It takes too long to send because there can only be around 3,000 transactions per block. The Bitcoin mining means there can only be one block every 10 minutes. You do the math on that, it's around 5 to 6 transactions per second. If you had more than 10,000 transactions inside of 10 minutes, then now people are waiting all day for their Bitcoin to get sent. That's why if you send your Bitcoin somewhere, it takes like an hour now. Back when people were trying to use it for its real purpose, it could take days or even a week with like $50 or more worth of transaction fees. And then the transaction fees, it was like a queue system. If you put in $50 and I put in 100, my $100 would get me ahead of you. So I could send my Bitcoin sooner than you could send yours. So it became a pay-to-play system where the big guy could bully the little guy. And so the original purpose of Bitcoin's dead, and that's why I no longer... Bitcoin's kind of like a gateway. You find out about Bitcoin because it's a household name. Once you start learning about crypto, it's inevitable that you migrate to a different project like XRP. Some people made their way to Ethereum. I don't hate Ethereum, but I just don't believe in it. And so that's basically the point, right? So when this guy, the Clavicular, is dogging on Bitcoin, it's actually a sign we might be close to the bottom of the market, or bottom of the cycle here, because people that have no idea what they're talking about are opining on it. And there's this saying that, like, if you hear about a stock at the barbecue, it's time to sell. Well, now it's like the inverse effect is happening right now. If you hear guys like this saying that something is dead, it probably means that not too long from now it's going to rip again. And look, I'm not even a Bitcoin believer, but I have no doubt in my mind that Bitcoin is going to continue rising and go back above 125K and continue moving upward from there. And I'm not even saying this as someone that believes in the coin. I'm just saying, guys, the reality is that Bitcoin's a household name. Everybody on earth has heard of Bitcoin. So, like, you got to think, we're in a space where there's probably less than 100,000 people in the crypto space that are actively out there watching content like this on a regular basis. The majority of people that are buying this stuff, it's just like Call of Duty games. Like, you play a Call of Duty game, you love the series, you go to Reddit to complain and be like, Modern Warfare and Black Ops are the only good ones and all these new ones suck. The average person is buying Call of Duty, playing it for 4 days and moving on. The people that stick around and post on the forums are a very, very small minority. It's the same thing with crypto. So, we're all here hanging out. We all understand that Bitcoin's no good and we don't buy it for that reason. But the other 99% of the world is going to continue buying Bitcoin. And that's why, like it or not, I do think it's going to continue rising. And I think that the bottom is probably coming within the next 6 months. I'm kind of done with Twitter here for the day, so I'll just minimize this out and go back to my normal screen. Yeah, there we go. So I do think that we probably got a couple more months of problems here. Not problems, but going to be in a down market for a little bit. But I don't think it's going to last like forever. Like I don't think any of these things are dead. So I would just say, you guys probably already get it, but we just hang in there, keep dollar cost averaging. Don't let the FUD get to you. I mean, it's probably going to get a little bit worse. I mean, how are you going to handle seeing $1 XRP? I'm going to be buying more. It just means that the dreams of financial independence are just going to be on hold for a while. But we all know where this thing is heading. It's 12:50. I'm going to start wrapping things up. If you guys have any last minute questions, feel free to drop them. Otherwise, I'm going to start doing some of my my exit. I'm going to start doing some of my exit speech, the follow me on this and that. So let me just check the Discord, see if we got any new peeps that tried to hop in today. No new blood today, but Discord's doing pretty good, you guys. We got almost 70 members. Some people have been asking that I make more of the regular video content and not just stream. So this week I'm going to try to knock out a couple pre-recorded videos. I'll try to do one a day. Just so you guys know, it does take me about 5 hours to make a pre-record video, whereas streaming, I just hit the button and I mean, hey, that's why I'm literally doing it. I mean, streaming doesn't take even a quarter of the effort, but I'll make some more pre-record. I know that people like it, so I'll be coming out with those. There will be a Firelight video as soon as the vaults increase. I just don't know when it will be. Probably not today. If it hasn't happened by now, it's probably not happening today. But you guys will definitely hear from me when it does. I'm sure, without a shred of doubt, it'll be all over Twitter. So we could definitely do that. Iman says, try to get some live stream shorts. I really want to. Doing this by yourself is like brutal. Like I'm making the thumbnails, I'm editing the videos. What I need to do is I need to hire that out. But it's kind of like a chicken and the egg kind of thing. It's like, do you make money first or you get the content out in mass? It's like, I'm trying to get this channel profitable before I spend money on hiring editors. And so maybe I'm taking the long way around, but you guys know not to go on a tangent here, but for someone who had 10 years in the software engineering industry, it's pretty freaking hard right now to get back into the game. Iman, you and I talked about it on Discord the other day, actually. I have a lot of friends right now that are also software engineers, and we're all basically, I mean, some of these guys are talking about going back to bartending, all right? I'm trying to hold that back as much as possible, because once you get back into that kind of work, it's very hard to motivate yourself to go back to your software engineering. But dude, this is a bad job market. I've never seen anything like this. I wasn't around in 2008. I mean, I was, but I was in high school. I didn't have to worry about jobs in high school. I've never seen anything like this. I interviewed at a place where they were ready to rock and roll, and then they called me and said that the client could not afford to take on any new employees, so they basically went on a hiring freeze. And otherwise, I would have had the job, right? But literally the company I was interviewing at couldn't afford to take new employees. And maybe this is just my own sector, automotive industry, but the kids are not all right, as the Offspring song would say. So I'm just hanging in there trying to make things work. If I did go back to work, you can absolutely bet I'd be paying some kid to chop some of my videos up and start pushing shorts, just like you see on other major channels. That was cool, Iman. I saw that. Scepter did see the video. By the way, Firelight saw my video yesterday and retweeted it. I got like hundreds of engagement on Twitter from that, which was sweet. So I'm probably going to have to start using Twitter more. Twitter does seem like a good way to kind of feed people into the channel. It's like a whole nother audience I otherwise wouldn't have. So getting better at this stuff, but Anyways, I think that's my tangent for now. I have to imagine just about all of you so far subscribed, so just stay subscribed. That's all I can ask for now. I'm gonna have some lunch, and I'm gonna make a Nostro Vostro video. I kind of maybe you guys have figured it out sometimes, but I like test ideas on stream, and if the idea works, I make a video on it. So I'm gonna make a Nostro Vostro video. Hopefully it's out around 5 p.m. today. I'm just gonna really hammer it out. So keep an eye out for that. It should be in the next 4 or 5 hours, and then yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Oh, by the way, Thursday I've got some chores that I had scheduled, so there won't be any stream Thursday. There's no way around it. I had to get, you know how it is, like doctor's appointments, and my truck needs some extended maintenance. So, I can take a day off for maintenance on the truck, but I won't take one when I have a burst perforated eardrum. I don't know, man. That's just the way I am. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Whatever you do, don't go on the U.S. Gerald Ford if you got to go poop.